Well, I just finished watching Diary of a Diva Part 1. Nikki Gilbert and Monifah get real after a decade. Woo, this conversation, well, some could say it was a little spicy, but I'm going to say I have clarity, yet I'm still confused. And I want to talk about it. So let's talk about it, shall we? All right, let's talk. All right, you guys, welcome back over here to my YouTube channel, Pepe's Point of View, and I am your host, your R&B historian, Pepe. And oh my gosh, I just finished watching Diary of a Diva Part 1. Nikki Gilbert and Monifah get real after a decade. Now, I stumbled across this actually, I think it was like yesterday evening or the day before, and I really and truly wanted to watch it and just kind of get a feel for it. I watched probably not even the first 10 or 15 minutes of it. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to come back to it. And I'm going to tell you why the first 15 minutes of it, I kind of stopped watching it. Let me make a mental note to talk about that. And I was like, okay, do I want to discuss this? I'm not quite sure, but I left it alone. I had other things that I wanted to do and was pondering if I wanted to discuss those things. And anyway, here we are discussing this particular conversation between Nikki Gilbert, R&B diva of the groundbreaking group Brownstone, and then you have Monifah, an R&B diva in her own right. And we'll talk about the reason why Selena Johnson's picture is posted here as well. But anywho, so that's what I do over here. I talk about R&B divas mostly, and from time to time, I dish out the dirt on who dropped kicked who in these entertainment streets, literally and figuratively speaking. And right now, I'm here to tell you there's a whole lot of figurative speaking and literal speaking when it comes to what really was going on in the R&B divas franchise. Okay. Now, I don't want to go to the backstory behind that. And, if you didn't watch any of the show, then I suggest that if you can find clips of it or find, the shows, the seasons or whatever, I really and truly suggest that you watch them because that's what I do. I promote all things R&B divas. Anywho, but I want to just stay right here, with this conversation between Nikki Gilbert and Monifah. Now, disclaimer, this here's just my point of view. I understand, things, people get, to talking about their points of view and all of that stuff. And please do let me know how you feel about what it is that I've said. You out there probably, have more, be able to shine more light on, the actual ins and out of really what was taking place. But without further ado, let's talk about it. So I'm confused, but then I have clarity. So let me get this straight, okay? So Nikki Gilbert and Monifah were friends, are friends, trying to mend their friendship again after not speaking to one another for 10 years. Okay, it's what it is. So I'm going to say right now, according to what I gather in the video, that these two R&B divas were like, let's say, besties. Let's just say that. All right. Now, it looks to me like allegedly, Selena is being accused by Monifah of mushing her. All right. She mushed her. Okay. Now, Monifah is dead set that it happened. Like, I know what happened. She did it. She did it. She did it. That's Monifah, right? But Selena's like, you're a lie. 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 Right? Now, Nicci, because she's friends with Monifah, is upset at Selena for mushing her friend, right? That's what I get. Now, let me know if I am wrong about that, but that's kind of like what I'm getting, what I gather, okay? Now, that's one thing. Then the next thing is that Nicci, who is an EP of the show, we're going to have to put that on the side too, who is an EP of the show, executive producer, and R&B Divas is her baby, it's her idea. I'm going to assume that's what's going on here. She's presented it to, the higher ups, if you will, the movers and the shakers. Let's put it that way. The people who can green light things. Okay. She's presented it to these people. She's brought in Faith Evans, and it's a go. With the idea, or with the understanding, or with the concept that, hey, we're going to eventually tour this thing, okay? Not for the first season, but for the second season. Selena, on the other hand, from what I gather, someone in her camp or somehow or another, someone is basically saying, hey, let's have this tour. So it seems as if Nicci is accusing somebody. She's not necessarily saying it's Selena, but she's accusing someone in production of handing this over to another R&B diva as an ideal. So it looks as if she is presenting hers second, right? I just want to make sure I understand that, because that looks like that's a problem in it and of itself, okay? That's where we are. Now, I would talk about Tasha Scott, but I'm not going to talk about Tasha Scott simply because, well, I didn't watch all of season one, and I didn't watch all of season one of R&B Divas, but I did watch all of R&B Divas of LA when Dawn Robinson was there. Oh, child, this is just getting a little bit too much. But anyway, I'm not talking about Latasha R&B Diva of Escape simply because of what has happened between Escape and within the Escape group, as well as, SWV, when we had SWV and Escape doing a reality show together. And so, the proof is in the pudding when it comes to that. So I'm just not even going to talk about that anymore. But what I will say is kind of interesting now when you look back on this thing, though, I have to say that Selena is siding with R&B diva Tasha Scott, which to me just it's kind of like a red flag. It's a red flag because of what the Latasha Scott's fellow R&B divas in her group has to say about her in her relationship. That's all I'm saying. It's just what it is. So now looking back, I'm going, that's interesting. That's all I'm saying. So maybe somehow or another, I'm just going to assume, I just don't get the vibe from Selena that Selena is messy, if you understand what I'm saying. So I don't get the vibe from Selena that way. I'm thinking that Selena is like, hey, you, Nicci Gilbert, are on some extra stuff, basically from, what I'm gathering and what I'm understanding. And not only that, I'm telling you, I did not mush Monifah, your best friend Monifah, but you continue to say that. But not only do you continue to say that, and I have a problem with that, but I also have a problem with how you're handling things as well. I don't like. Now, let's stop right there for a second, because even as I am discussing all of this, it just starts to get like thicker and thicker and thicker. And I just want to say something. I want to put a disclaimer out there. Okay. I want to make sure that I understand. Now I'm trying to get an understanding, even from a fan perspective, who just likes R&B divas, the music, so on and so forth. But I'm also trying to get an understanding as a fan who watches reality television. Now, isn't it interesting? And I just want you guys to think about this for a second now. I'm just saying, isn't it interesting that we're talking about reality television when I'm saying and thinking as I'm watching this show is scripted? You know, I mean, it's just what it is. You'd still have writers on these reality shows who pretty much take things and they kind of maneuver things around to create a storyline. Am I right or am I wrong? You got to let me know about that now. But so as I'm looking at this, I'm saying to myself, like, okay, well, some of this is true, some of this is not. So now, remember when I said we're going to set Nikki Gilbert being an EP to the side? Well, this is where we pick it up. Okay, now we're going to pick it up. We're going to try to eat this just a little bit. Now, I'm only trying to gather some understanding as well as, give my take on this as well. Nikki, this is your show. This is your baby. This is your idea. This is your brainchild, so on and so forth. And so as a creative individual, I understand I have this idea and I really and truly think it's a great idea. I want to get it off the ground. I want to get it, green lit so that, hey, I can, you know, you know, well, be creative and make some money and all of that stuff, that people do, right? So now, somehow or another, she brings in Faith Evans, and it looks as if Faith Evans is an EP as well. Now, if she's bringing the idea and bringing the concept, and we're talking about Nicci, and Nicci, whoo, child, she then I guess I'm gonna put it all in Nicci's lap. I'm just because I'm just gonna do it. Then she brainstorms, let's say, hey, this R&B diva, that R&B diva, these would be some great R&B divas, for the show, so on and so forth. She even shows a clip that's what she says. I didn't go through any management or anything like that. Like, I literally called these divas up and asked if they wanted to be a part. And of course they said, okay, blah, blah, blah. That's what she says in the clip. So that's what I'm going to go by. Now, I would like to think that each one of these divas, when they was presented with this idea, okay, and they said, sure, we're going to go along with it. I have a hard time believing that some of the details were not, that some of these R&B divas, or let me take it this way, the R&B divas were presented with the idea and the concept. And I would like to think that since Nicci is so adamant about the fact that there was going to be a tour, like an R&B Divas tour, I would like to think that she did propose this idea, correct? Like, even from the beginning, like, hey, you guys, this is going to be a great opportunity. And not only is it going to be a great opportunity, but we're going to also tour, okay? So on and so forth. Now, for me, I would like to think that everybody pretty much was on board with that idea. That's just me. I find it kind of hard to believe that the ladies are, they get together, for this show, right? They get together for this show, and then a tour is just all of a sudden just thrown in their lap. Like, hey, tour. And it looks to me as if this is the first episode, right? The first episode, everything is centered around this tour. And now, going back to reality television being scripted, I'm saying to myself, like, well, obviously they had to get together and talk about some kind of idea of what things were going to be, so on and so forth. I would like to think, just as a fan watching the show, even if I'm an R&B diva on the show, I would like to think that, yeah, Nicci, you got to know what's going on. Like, now I have to think in the eyes of Monifah. I would think, just as a part of the cast, and I know you're an EP on the show, I'm saying, yeah, you got to know this is happening, right? You have to know this is happening. You just got to know. Like, I would just really be Boo Boo the Fool and Patty Plankhead, You know what I'm saying? Not to think that you would be privy to these things. So for you to tell me that you are pretty much in the dark, I'm like, there's no way. There's no way you're in the dark, Nicci, if I am thinking on the lines of Monifah, right? There's just no way. So I find it hard to believe, but according to, Nicci, she's saying that, well, listen, you guys were given this idea about the tour from somebody in production. Now it makes it look as if I have, a different motive, like I got some underhanded things going on, so on and so forth. I didn't know where I was going. I didn't. She was like, they just told me this is where I'm going. I had no idea where I'm going. Now, I'm going to say, you know what? Maybe it is true. Maybe she didn't know that this is where she was going, so on and so forth. The natural surprise reaction, right? The natural surprise reaction to see, oh, wow, I'm in Selena's house. What? What's going on? Like, wow, I'm here. Okay, well, I'm here, blah, blah, blah. So here I am. And it is what it is. So you ladies are not expecting me. I didn't know where I was going. And so now let's just see how this just kind of spontaneously, occur. I don't know. Yeah, I just have a hard time swallowing all of this. Like even giving it a little taste, like a little, like a little peck, a little nibble, putting it a little bit on the lip, or just touching it with the tip of my tongue. I'm having even a hard time trying to do any of these things with some of these stories that I'm gathering right now. And to be quite honest with you, I'm thinking that Monifah is just being a little too naive about everything. But Monifah is the only one out of all of this that makes sense to me. Do you see what I'm saying? It just makes sense. But my thing is, in the during their conversation, though, the thing that I was picking up on with Monifah, I'm like, wait a minute, Monifah, you're trying really hard not to say something. It seems to me like she wants to say something or she's holding something back. That's all I'm saying, because Monifah never ever mentions names. The only name she mentions, if I'm not mistaken, if you guys watch it, you let me know, it's Faith Evans' name. She says Faith, but no other name is mentioned. She don't mention any of the R&B divas' names at all. As a matter of fact, Nicci doesn't mention any other R&B divas' name at all. I don't know if somebody told them, keep your name out my mouth. I just don't know at all, but I just know if I have to go back, I don't know. But now, wait a minute. Now that I think about it, they did mention R&B Divas Latasha's name, right? Because they mentioned her husband. So there was one Diva's name that was mentioned, but I just find it kind of strange. You guys got to tell me what y'all think about this conversation. Whew. But anyway, so now, after 10 years, Monifah and Nicci get together to hash out this thing that's going on between the two of them and their friendship and everything. And to be quite honest with you, if I could say anything to these ladies, and this is where, oh gosh, I wasn't thinking about this. See, I never know where I'm going when I'm doing this, but I'm going to let this flow. All right, Nicci, this is what I'm going to say to you, Nicci. This is what I'm going to say. Nicci, if you are the EP of the show, then in my head, what I'm thinking your title means to Monifah is, and everybody else is, you're their boss. But why do I recall an episode where Nicci is saying, I am your boss? And one of the R&B divas, was it Selena, said, oh no, baby, you are not my boss. And I think she's saying, yes, I am your boss. Well, I'm going to say it. If Nicci Gilbert is the EP of the show, then she's the boss. So now what you've done, Nicci, is you have placed yourself in a position of authority over Monifah, your friend. So how do you think Monifah is supposed to take you? Like, hey, I think everything is good, right? I'm not knowing what's going on. I know how this thing works for the most part. And Monifah is saying to you, Nicci, baby, sister girl, diva, you shut down. You stop talking. Now she shut down and stopped talking. But Nicci is saying, baby, I shut down and stopped talking because I'm trying to protect you guys. I am trying to keep myself in a job. Well, hold on. Yes, I guess I'm trying to keep my creativity, my job, and I am trying to keep your jobs as well by shutting up. And if you really and truly did this to me to shut me up in a roundabout sort of way, because now I'm made out to be the bad guy. Do you see what I'm saying? I can't talk to you, sweetie, the way I would like to. I'm sorry, I didn't mean like sweetie like that, but I can't talk to you, diva, because yeah, this will open up another can of worms. So I can't do this. So all I can do at this moment in time is just sit back and watch all this stuff unfold. Like, what in the world did I do? What is happening around me? Do you understand? I think that's pretty much what. Am I saying this right? Because I didn't. I think Nicci means to say this, but I don't think Nicci is saying this. Right? I think she's telling her story to her friend, but I don't think that Nicci is pretty much basically saying it in such a way where Monifah gets it. I have to be quite honest with you. I don't even. I'm sorry, I believe I'm saying it this way. But I don't even believe that Monifah gets it right now. You see what I'm saying? And I really and truly think that at this moment in time, Monifah is like, hey, I just want to be friends and cool with everybody. And that's Monifah. I'm not mad. That's how I would be too. Listen here, I ain't got time for it. Hey, I'm cool. I just want to be cool with you guys and this, that, and other, and just do the show. Like, I am going to be naive in that way with the understanding, listen here, I'm not as naive as you think I am. Like, I really truly know what's going on, but I'm just not trying to be a part of it. Do you understand what I'm saying? But here's the thing though, Nicci, to think at hindsight is 2020, but to think that Monifah should have got up and walked out, it depends. Sorry, I had to drink something just right then and there. But it just depends on how you look at it. I think the bigger thing right now would be, well, listen, if Monifah stayed, your friend stayed, it's more about what did she say after you left. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, to be mad at your friend who really and truly has some idea that something is going on. And I think Monifah is saying, like, is this real? Is this really happening happening right now? Like, is this B? Selena just told Nicci, B, get out of my house. What? Like, is this part of the show? Or is this really, is this really, really real? You see what I'm saying? So you just can't really get mad at her about that right now. Like, in the way she walked out. Like, I don't get it. And then the more I think about it, when you show the clip, I'm saying to myself, like, is it for show or are you serious? Because the way she kicked back her leg when she was walking out the door, and I'm talking about Nicci Gilbert, it sounded like she was not as upset as maybe she should have been. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I just really and truly don't get this. It just doesn't make any sense to me. But it makes a whole lot of sense. Why does it make a whole lot of sense? It makes a whole lot of sense to me because now I am going to I'm going to talk about just briefly, just right now, R&B Divas of LA, right? Which had Dawn Robinson and Kelly Price over there. And it's almost like what happened to Kelly Price over at R&B Divas is pretty much what looks like, well, no, let me take that back. It looks as if what they was trying to do to Kelly Price over there, making her to be the aggressive one, the way they made Selena be, right? Because now it looks as if Selena is the aggressive one on this RB Diva show, and Kelly Price is aggressive over at the other R&B Diva show. Do you see what I'm saying? But now we done kicked Nicci Gilbert out. Like, baby, you about to, girl. I'm just letting you know they trying to get rid of you, girl. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's interesting, but there's some other things that I do want to cover that I don't want to miss. Like I want to cover. And so it sounds interesting to me when we're talking about R&B divas, as I talk about R&B divas, and this is why I did not want the latest of Escape and SWV to do a reality show together, because I just knew that this show was going to clash and that we'll find Escape and SWV going, having beef, if you will, riff tiffs between the two of the camps. And it almost looked like it was trying to happen that way. And so I just didn't want to see it from two of my favorite R&B divas group, especially when it came down to SWV, even though both groups have had their differences within their camps. But at the same time, I just didn't want to see Escape and SWV going back and forward with each other. But the thing about this is that I find is interesting is that how it pretty much was setting the show up to fail, or rather setting the show up to succeed by setting up the R&B divas to fail, if that's a great way of putting it. So I say it again. It looks as if to set the show up to succeed, you had to set the R&B divas up to fail. Whoo, child, I just tell you, this is just too much. And the reason why I titled the this particular video clip uh, "Squandered a Beautiful R&B Divas Sisterhood" is because that's what Angie Stone had, pretty much quoted as saying, they squandered all of that beautiful sisterhood, is what she said. I repeat it one more time. They squandered all of that beautiful sisterhood. And that's the kind of the way I see my R&B divas, okay? And I get the feeling in order for them to be set up to fail is like they had to do that old fashioned, tried and true method of divide and conquer. Okay? And they divided and they conquered by creating one division. That's all it is. All you had to do is create one riff tiff. That's all you had to do. One riff tiff. And then as soon as you create that one riff tiff, all you had to do then was create another one. And you create another one by explaining, take that back, not explaining, but by creating another division. If you understand what I'm saying. And you do that simply by what? Okay, well, no, she didn't say it. She said it. Right? Wait a minute. She said it. How did she what but how did she get? And now it's like, how did my name get involved in? Well, yeah, that's something that I said, but I didn't say it that way. Well, you shouldn't have said anything at all. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, do you see the back and forth of how this occurs? So it's like create one division and then create another division and then create a third division, and you just keep people against each other. Okay. Now, woo child. I find this to be interesting because there's another component to this, and what I think about now, y'all might get mad at me for this one, but I'm going to say this one because I think that it's worth, discussing. And that is, oh Lord, here I go. Can I say it? Can I say it? Ooh, child, can I say it? Let's talk about what happened between Escape and SWV. You guys remember not too long ago when Escape and SWV was talking about who was going to get paid how much and this, that, and the other, and who was going to open for who, and this, that, and the other, and blah, blah, blah. Why do I got a feeling that it was never implied or it was never said, but I get a feeling that also too, the reason why it was so difficult to get these R&B divas together for the tour, could it possibly be like well, who's bigger than the other diva? Hey, I got this going on. Yeah, well, I got this going on, but I got this going on too. I should be paid this amount because I've always been paid this amount, and so I'm going to continue to get paid this amount. Oh no, do you understand what I'm saying? And then also too, the come up. Oh gosh, here we go. And what do I mean by the come up? I mean by the come up is simply this. Whew, you know, I'm not going to pick on Monifah, but I'm going to pick on her just a little bit so you guys can understand where I'm going with this and what I mean by pick on. Uh, 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 what I mean by pick on her. What I mean by that is that I guess out of all the divas on the cast, Monifah probably would be like an opening act. Okay, I hate to say it that way. And so we could say, all right, well, Monifah has a lot to gain just by being on the show, right? And I'm not saying this is what happened. I'm just giving you an example. And so some people could probably even be intimidated by the fact that Monifah gets any shine, and if she gets some shine over you, then you know what? They're gonna you don't want her overshining you. Do you understand what I'm saying? And I'm using Monifah as an example. I'm not saying this is her at all. But do you get the idea what I mean? I don't know why I get the feeling that it came down to something like that too. You know, that these that they couldn't get along because they already felt like they had reached a certain status and so on and so forth. And let's just say, in the eyes of Selena, let's just say, okay, hey, Nicci, I don't trust you. I don't trust you. You know, I don't trust you. I don't trust you. I don't trust you. Like, who's that lady on the Tyler Perry play when she was like talking about, man, you can't trust them. You can't trust them. You can't trust them. So anyway, that's how I feel like Selena is saying about Nicci. You can't trust her. You can't trust her. You can't trust her. And so, so there you have it. Selena is just not feeling Nicci at all for whatever reason. Like she just thinks that, I think she used the word a fraudulent tour. Like, hey, now your tour done fell apart, and now you trying to get us to just tour so you can say that it's your tour. I mean, no, your show, let's just do a charity. I'm not going to sing it. Now it makes sense. It makes sense. Like, I'm not going to do anything with you on that end simply because I don't trust you. I don't trust you. I don't trust you. But anyway, let's keep moving right along. But as I said before, I really truly think that they're trying to control some of the details in this story between Monifah and Nicci right now. I mean, I have a clear understanding that maybe Nicci is not all out to, you know what I'm saying? Like, she's not that bad. But at the same time, she comes with the show. So okay, let's put it this way. Am I to believe then, according to Nicci, like in her, theory about what occurred? So then I am to believe that Nicci is an EP on the show. She has to be in the creative room, if you will, right? She's in the creative room. She's listening to how each episode is going to come together. She has to be a part of that. So, are we to believe then that as this is coming together, that some people then are going behind your back to create another scenario? So, it's kind of like this. Oh, so Nicci is like, well, for this particular scene, we are going to, I don't know. we're going to go over Monifah's house. And we're going to go over Monifah's house, and we're going to sit around and we're going to talk, and everybody is going to discuss the show, so on and so forth. And I'm going to, well, I put it this way. Now, for this scene, we're going to have Monifah and let's just say Kiki White. They're going to be at Monifah's house, and I'm just going to talk to the two of them about doing a concert, right? A tour. But instead of that happen, the production staff goes behind your back and say, hey, let's come on, follow us. We're about to go somewhere. Where are we going? Oh, we will tell you when we get there, so on and so forth. Then they tell you when you get there, and you're looking like, wait a minute, I thought this scene was between me and Monifah and Kiki. But instead, y'all have me over to Selena's house with everybody, and we're discussing this all at one time when I want to get a take on each R&B divas, how they felt about it. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's not what happened, of course, but I'm saying, giving you an idea of, so Nicci is saying that, hey, there's some things going on behind the scenes that they're even tricking me. Like I'm saying, we're all saying it's going to be one way, but the next thing I know, it's going to be another way. It's just too much. It's just too much. And right now, where I am in the midst of all of this, wait a minute, hold on. I just realized something. I was about to talk about Selena when all of a sudden something just crossed my mind. Yeah. So Nicci Gilbert is saying that she was about to get kicked off the show because she was aggressive, allegedly, because I'm trying to remember what it is, difficult to get along with. Nobody wanted to be around her, so on and so forth. She was just really and truly, like a heavy. You know what I'm saying? Like she was really mean and evil and vicious. You know what I'm saying? Why did I bring that up? Why did I say that as relate to Selena? I said that because how is it that Nicci is the one who's been seen as aggressive when everybody in the show, well, not everybody in the show, but Monifah is pretty much saying that Selena is the one that mushed her. So wouldn't it be that people would try to get Selena off the show because Selena is aggressive physically? But then again, I remember seeing that clip though. She showed a clip in the in her conversation with Monifah that says Nicci Gilbert and two other R&B divas will be replaced. So could it be that Selena was one of the R&B divas to be replaced? I'm just throwing it out there. I'm not saying that that's true. See, I find that hard to believe now. I don't know. See, that's what I said. Literally and figuratively speaking, who dropped kick two? Do you understand what I'm saying? I don't get it. I don't get it. There's just so much to this I just don't get. But we're going to keep on moving right along. But as I said before, it makes sense that these divas could never get together to perform anything. It makes sense. All right. Like the tension, the confusion, the drama had already started. And if I am a writer for this particular show, I'm already thinking drama, the tour. And let's see how we can stir up drama around this tour idea. This is going to be the theme for this season. It's going to be this tour. Will this tour happen? Will it not happen? And I would like to think that it didn't matter to the production team or not. This is just my theory. I don't think it mattered to the production team or not, or to the executive producers or not, whether or not the tour happened or not. Like if the tour happened, they would have been great, even with there having been some drama on, throughout the tour. I just think that it just got so intense to the point where the Divas were like, we're just not going to do it. And they were okay with that because at the end of the day, it's still drama. It didn't matter to them. I don't think the way I'm looking at it, like whether or not the tour would happen or not, I don't think that was the issue. I don't think the issue was whether the tour would happen or not. I think the issue is there's a tour, and this is a perfect opportunity for us to get a storyline and create drama around the tour aspect of this particular season. That's just me. And it just so happened it's got so thick and so out of hand until people were like, nope, not gonna do it. I'm not gonna be a part of it. But then I have to think about Kiki Wyatt, though, because Kiki Wyatt, remember, I'm going by what was just played in the clip. We're only sticking now to what was played in this conversation between Monifah and Nicci. And Kiki says, I love the Divas, but I don't want to go on tour with them, which means then that even from the very beginning, if that was the case and Kiki signed up to be a part of R&B Divas, Kiki already went in with being told that she was going to go on a tour or she was not. Do you understand what I'm saying? So for for Kiki to even show up and sign on, then that means that she either knew that they were talking about a tour and she told them no, which means that the production team and executive producers had to say, well, it really doesn't matter if you come on the tour or not. You'll still be a part of the show. It is what it is. You can still be on the show, but you don't have to necessarily tour if you don't want to. You see what I'm saying? So Kiki was like, I was a dead set against it from the very beginning. But then Nicci says, but Nicci has a tour and then there's another tour. Oh gosh, I just don't know. And then we have to go back to Monifah. And I know it seems like I'm all over the place, but Monifah was like saying to Nicci, listen, all I'm saying is that I was thinking you was trying to get me not to like Selena, right? I think when she said, I was thinking you was trying to get me to dislike her, I'm thinking she's talking about Selena, right? That's what I would like to think, So I just feel as if at the end of the day, here's what we have. Now, y'all correct me if I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. But this is what I have. I have Nicci Gilbert, who is the creative mind behind this show, right? And she presents the show. Obviously, she has an idea. As I think about it now, I think Nicci was like, hey, this is my first time ever doing something like this too, right? Okay, she said that too. We have to put that out there. But she has this idea of a show, so on and so forth. The show, she's presented the show. The show has been greenlit. Boom, there you have it, right? Whew. And then you have Nicci, who has her ideas of what's supposed to happen. Faith Evans comes in, and I'm going to only assume that Faith comes in, and I don't think she's a silent partner issue, but I will say this: that was an immediate turn off to have to watch this show, being a fan of Faith and realizing that Faith is not partaking in a lot of the things that were going on with the R&B Divas. Now, I must say that was like, huh? So, but anyway, if she's got other things going on, she just has other things going on. It's what it is. And I'm so glad I made that point. I made that point simply because everybody has their own camp. Everybody has their own ideas. Everybody, is like, nope, I'm not doing that. I don't have time for it. I do this, but I'm not doing that. And it's just that there's no meeting of the minds, But I cannot though. I would be doing myself. I'll be doing myself a disservice if I did not just mention the epic smackdown, because that's what I call it, an epic smackdown between Selena and Nicci. Like that scene will forever live in my head when when Nicci and Selena are going back and forth, where or let's just say Selena is telling Nicci how she feels about her, and Nicci is like, "Listen here, if I got up, she's already up. Then production is going to be, you know, breaking us up." And I would have to honestly say to you, I do not. I said it before. I'm going to say it again. Say however you want to say it, but I do not want to see my R&B divas, you know, pulling hair, if you will, and slapping each other around. I just don't want to see that. With my R&B divas, it's just what it is. You know, you can tell me if I think it's unladylike or whatever the case may be. I just don't want to see it. It doesn't mean that, you know, my R&B divas cannot handle themselves. That's not what I'm saying. It's just that at the end of the day, I just don't want to see it. But you know, that's neither here nor there. But I had to mention it. You know, I want to go into details about it, but I think I really and truly would have missed it if I didn't miss talk about it. The jury is still out. It is, and this is part one. So I don't know what part two is going to be, and I don't know if Nicci is going to bring any of the R&B divas in to really and truly discuss it. I really don't know if this is just her trying to, you know, mend her relationship between her R&B diva friend Monifah. I don't know what it is. I want to say I think that Selena is not going to, you know, sit down and have a conversation with Nicci. I just don't see it. But if it happens, it happens. But tell me what you think. Am I totally missing it? I don't think so, because I'm still back to where I was when I started the video, and that is what is really and truly going on between these two, these three divas, because it's the three of them, right? Yeah. Yeah, yeah. It is what it is. Well, on that note, if you made it to this point in the video, I think it's only appropriate for me to say, hey, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the share button, do all of those things, leave comments, all of that. You know, I welcome it. I really and truly do. And my motto over here is very, very simple. And that is, I want you to put your behind where your heart desires to be. And whenever I leave my mother's presence, she always says to me, she says, baby, remember, I love you, but God loves you best. I love you guys out there. And thank you guys so much for the support. And I hope that you feel the love coming right back at you. You know what? We dished out the dirt on who dropped, kicked who in these entertainment streets when it comes to the R&B divas, right? Nicci Gilbert, Selena Johnson, and Monifah. All right, so stay tuned for part two of that conversation between Nicci Gilbert and Monifah. It's going to be interesting. I hope to see exactly what comes of that. But anyway, I look forward to seeing you guys next video. You guys take care of yourselves out there. All right.